Welcome to Wyrdisch. This is a sacred landing space where we explore the fated destiny of becoming through the lens of spiritual awakening with my guests. I'm Stephanie Lauren, a multidimensional lighthouse, spiritual facilitator, hypnotherapist, and human design consultant. Now, I'd like you to join me in the conversations with everyday mystics. And the mystic I have with me today is Fabian Atlantis. He's a somatic water therapist, and the beautiful work that he does in the retreats as a facilitator, and he has over 5 years of experience working with water as a medium for healing and nervous system regulation. So before I bring him up, he describes his call from the Dolphins and why he moved to Egypt. And before he went there, he worked as a diplomat or in the diplomatic area and with the United Nations in New York and across Africa, and what happened there, why he left it. However, he is a left angle incarnation cross of demand, so that type of work is exactly in line with what he's supposed to do, is like showing society this and this and this doesn't work. So I'm really excited to hear more about that. And so today his work bridges somatic therapy, ancestral wisdom, and embodied spiritual practice through water-based experiences. He leads wonderful retreats and sacred journeys inside yourself and to wonderful, beautiful, sacred places. So welcome, Fabian. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Stephanie. Hello, everybody. Thank you for this very beautiful introduction. I feel so honored to be here, and you put everything into really beautiful words. And I can already tell that you are a very good human design consultant, because you made me happy by kind of validating that my human design chart is kind of overlapping with my work, which is always great to hear, of course.
It was like perfect. You were doing the exact work that you meant to be doing.
Oh,
Love it.
that's always so good to hear. Things like that. We all need to hear this more often.
When you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing, where you're following your heart, that is exactly where your human design just starts to shine. It just comes through. And yeah, I think it's great that you found that really early, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I don't know if it was so early, to be honest. I felt like for decades I've been off path, off track.
Well, tell us more about that.
Well, it's always been kind of a dance between like wanting to break out and find this path which is more aligned with my heart, but then also going into the complete different direction. And I feel like for probably the most part of my life, I've been kind of chasing to construct a personality that was actually not aligned with my inner core. And I've been really good at it. It was almost as if I've been trying to create the opposite of my aligned core. So something that was deep away from my true meaning.
That is exactly what we create so that we can awaken.
True, true. It wouldn't have happened without that, I guess. It's just that sometimes I like to, when I talk about my journey, I'm like, I and actually just yesterday I told you on the pre-call, someone said to me, "Oh, you have so much energy," and I like to say I invested tremendous amounts of energy into creating a persona that is very far away from my core. And I'm thinking, wow, if I was able to do that, how would it be like if I would invest this energy into something that's more close to me? You know, I think then we can really do anything because already I did so much with being far away from this core. And maybe people think, what does it actually mean to be away from your core? And let me explain. For example, I was a very bad student in mathematics in school, and I was suffering from that for a long time because I kind of felt, like stupid, the big fear of not being good enough and all of this. And so the pain was so big inside of me that I started to be very good at cheating in high school and kind of making alliances with the right teachers to cheat my way through the system. And like a few steps forward, I studied high finance in London at a leading business school, and in French in Paris doing the same thing. And I was like about to apply at a job at an international investment bank. And I think that was the moment when I was thinking, wow, this it couldn't be more far away because it wasn't even aligned with my strength. I guess in investment banking, you should be good with numbers and mathematics, right? But I could have done it and probably it would have worked out. But I think there is only at some point, you lose the energy. I lost the energy to be able to keep up this facade, you know? And then maybe that's why everything fell apart.
Yeah. I mean, because you're a manifesting generator. And so you have innate sacral energy, which is like a Duracell bunny. And when you are following your passion, when you're following the thing that lights you up, you can get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You can work the whole day, not eat anything, stop working at 10 o'clock in the evening, go out with your friends, have fun, party until 2 o'clock in the morning, go to bed, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning again because you don't need that much sleep. That energy, you're just like, oh, just going on and on and on and on. And that's amazing. But when you're not aligned, what happens then is that because you're not listening to your sacral, which is always a big fat yes, like a uh-huh, or a big fat no, And when you keep on going down the no route, your sacral actually starts shutting off because you're not listening to it.
And what happens next?
Then it will start pulling energy from other parts of your body, and then you'll get tired. And if you go down that route even longer, you get into burnout, dis-ease.
Yeah, that's what I've experienced. And I think what would be interesting for me and possibly listeners would be how can we stay on track? How can we make sure we don't fall into a state of exhaustion caused by doing something that's actually not aligned with our inner core?
So the first thing is that you designed yourself perfectly. And you designed that experience for yourself so you could wake up and step out of the matrix. So you actually designed having that experience, doing the thing that you actually shouldn't be doing, so that you come back to yourself, so that you understand, oh, that's not me. This is all a facade. This is all a mask. This is the system. So you can start questioning, who am I? Because if you don't go down that route, you will always, so you actually won't wake up. You have to get into the pain of not being who you're supposed to be, so that you can find who you are.
I was just thinking that can we just ask ourselves the question, am I aligned right now or am I off track? And I think you know the answer. And if you're off track, it's time to change something. But
Yes.
the question is when and how. I guess sometimes we're so much off track that external circumstances, obviously creating by us, they will change. This might happen you having a burnout, not being able to continue anymore, right? This might, so this is something that happened to me before, or something I created to wake up. And another experience I created was, and I love to tell that story. I was living in Paris, and I worked for a prestigious communications agency in country branding, and I would go to work, and I get a notice from my boss that my contract is going to end of the month. It was mid-December 2017, and it won't be extended despite everything that was agreed on before. The same day, like the same day, my land lady calls me, and she cancels my contract for my apartment. And the same day, my girlfriend breaks up with me, you know? So obviously, this was one of these moments where a strong realignment had to happen. I won't say it was easy. It was actually also beautiful. However, mm, yeah, losing all of these things in a way, it's a strong wake-up call. And I ended up booking my first retreat as a participant. I would go on a yoga meditation retreat and kind of love that container. And yeah, obviously, I wouldn't do the work today without this very strong kick in my butt.
And that kick in the butt is where you, as a pre-contract, pre-birth contract, that has a very, very big likelihood of you actually awakening.
And I love these moments. They're so beautiful because there's really nothing, and I can really feel myself. I remember actually, I believe it was the last day of that yoga retreat I booked, and it was the 1st of January 2018. And everybody from the retreat, they would put us on a big bus, and then they would drive to the airport, drop off people. They would drive to the train station, drop off people. And then I happened to be the last person on the bus, and they were like, Fabian, where should we drop you off? And I just started crying because I realized I don't know. I have nowhere to go. So, however, then the universe always offers opportunities. So they would drop me at a random coffee shop on the corner. I sat down, I took an espresso, and then there were some travelers next to me. And like, hey, where are you going? I don't know. And then the guys were like, "Oh yeah, we're going on the Santiago, this Camino de Santiago. Do you want to join us?" And I'm like, "So guess what I said?
Yes.
I said no, it's too cold now."
Oh,
So maybe this is me ignoring the signs of the universe. I said no. And instead, I traveled to around the south of Europe. I found it to be more nice in terms of the climate. But anyways, if I would have been up for a life change on this Camino de Santiago or whatever, this was a very strong invitation. And
but what you did there was you actually listened to your cycle. So that was going to be the second part of the answer to the question of how do I know if I'm on the right path or not? So in your sacral, that's where you feel that big aha, which can be like a feeling of warmth, a feeling of expansion, of like being felt pulled towards something by your belly. And a big fat no, which is what you said, no. And so that is contraction, where you can feel it contract, or where you get some pressure, or you can feel like there's a ball, like a heavy ball inside of your sacral, and there's a like you move away from it. And so that is for us. You're not emotionally defined. I'm not emotionally. I'm also not emotionally defined. So we don't have that part that's in the way, with the emotional waves. We're not here to ride those emotional waves. So we just have this really clear or And so what you were following, and don't get me wrong, I did the same. I followed other people's dreams, and it wasn't that I wasn't good at it. I was actually really good at all of these things, but wasn't aligned with my dream.
Yeah, and
And
sometimes in the dream of others, there is also nice elements which might serve our dream. However, maybe one day we'll wake up and be like, oh, what am I doing here? I'm actually maybe supporting somebody else's dream and or maybe somebody else's structure. And it also just comes with more wisdom and consciousness, and you mentioned my work in Africa before. So yes, I was consulting with United Nations in like technology on how to make the world a better place through technology. And I had also founded a nonprofit which was working in the same field, and it came really from a place from my heart. On the one hand, to found this initiative. On the other hand, there was also an element of wanting to help others rather than possibly looking at my own core wounds. It's very easy to point your finger and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna save Africans now," or "I'm gonna save dolphins now." It's not easy to admit, but I had a teacher once who studied with Osho for a long time, and she said to me, "Oh, all these people who want to save whales and dolphins, but they haven't even done their inner work." And I was like, "Uh-oh, I actually signed up to be a volunteer in dolphin conservation. I'm leaving soon. Like, what's going on?" And after having served in dolphin conservation for a couple of months, I was like, okay, I think I get the point. Because yes, we can create structures such as the UN, such as dolphin conservation or whatsoever to make change, but the change really comes from the inside. If we all just Even if we set up amazing nonprofits to save the Amazon rainforest, for example, and clean the seas, if the humans running these nonprofits are not happy and aligned, then it won't work because it will always come back somehow. It's like karma. So that's when I decided to focus my work more on myself, and on humans. And of course, it's always about a balance.
100%.
I just love how everything is connected and we create our own path. And I don't even know where this is coming from. Sometimes I take an idea maybe from somebody else, but then again, everything belongs to everybody because we're all one. So we're all just helping each other to create this one experience. And things such as borders and IP law, where you protect brands and ideas and all of that. In my understanding, it doesn't necessarily serve humanity on a higher level. But this is easier said than done. Of course, we also still operate in a system where we sometimes need to protect our assets. I loved staying with indigenous tribes in the Amazon, like in Brazil, like you have also shared that you worked with some shamans. I was in the part of the Amazon that's called Acre, and I worked with the Huni Queen people, and I got initiated by them. It was so beautiful. And I realized that they have a different concept or they used to have a different concept of ownership. In fact, there was no concept of ownership. And yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. Humans used to live in tribes, and these people, they would set up a camp somewhere in the Amazon. They lived together as a tribe, as a community. They would go hunting. They would, I don't know, eat all the jungle deer and all of that. And then once the population of the animals is like going down, they would pack up and move to a new area and repeat. And while they are away, the animal population is going to recover. And that's a very beautiful way of being aligned with nature, you know. And when we were staying in the Amazon, I noticed that a little bit. We would all sit on a big boat together, travel for days on the river to get to their village. And, you know, maybe I would get up from my seat and then somebody else would sit down on my seat. And I was thinking, wow, in my Western education, I could say, excuse me, this is my seat, you know, but there it's like, oh no, let's just trust, you know. And then maybe he would open my backpack and take something out. I'm like, oh, but in the end, it all works out somehow. And I think that's a paradox. And I think we have, as we are so fear driven, we have forgotten that because we actually live in a universe of abundance. And if you take away my stuff, it's okay because there's always something for all of us. And I believe this is even like in the Bible, for example. You know, I'm not promoting the church or whatsoever. Yeah, but you know, this famous story where they all eat together and then suddenly there's enough for everybody. And that's a very strong example of what I'm just talking about.
So it's not just the Brazilian indigenous cultures, it's like that's all of South America. It's the principle of reciprocity, which is Aini, that ancient Incan word Aini, Ayni, which is all about abundance. However, first you give
Mm.
to receive. You know, you have to be in the flow of reciprocity, in the flow of life. It's all you can't just breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, which is, you know, like receive, receive, receive. You also have to breathe out at some point, which is giving. Okay, so it's always a balance. Everything is a balance. And what you were talking about was because everyone gives, you give your seat, you give your food, but because it's not yours, it belongs to everyone.
And I think the giving has to be done with the heart, then it works. That's what a friend told me, who is very great at manifesting wealth. She would be like, "Oh, I think I actually deserve driving a Porsche." And before she would be driving like this dirty pickup van. And yeah, you know, she does it. And she told me there is signs in the universe. Each time when she manifested abundance, a few days before that, there would be a person in need asking her for food or something, and then she would get it for them, and then something like the person would suddenly disappear would happen, you know, something like that. And for her, it was a sign. Yeah, I think that's how it works.
Oh, that is exactly how it works. And so it's not giving to get. It's giving
Yeah,
from the heart
yeah.
without expectation of getting anything back. And you will
Yeah,
always receive a sign.
yeah. It's. I would say it's not easy. It's not easy, but this is how it has to be done. And I feel like in the end, if you live like that, you'll always be more at ease or more aligned with the universe than someone who has maybe accumulated a tremendous amount of wealth but doesn't live like that.
You know, you keep on pushing the signpost, pushing going to the next goal, going to the next goal, and still inside you feel empty.
Yeah. And look at today's financial system. It's a lot about accumulating wealth, keeping it in the bank, investing it into different asset classes whatsoever. And in the end of the day, money needs to be moved. You know, it needs to be spent. It needs to be used to help others. So I think that's something to be learned.
Because money is energy.
Yeah,
And the thing is that, so A, we live in the most abundant world that's ever existed. And
yeah.
B, you, Fabian, you are abundance. It's not that you have abundance, you are actually 100% abundance.
Think about water. Water is abundant. Water flows everywhere. it gives us life. It's all major cities in the world are next to water. And what happens with this energy of water, like money, if it doesn't flow, it becomes smelly, right? It literally dies. This is why when you have a swimming pool, you have to make sure the water keeps circulating, right? And yeah, maybe it's the same with the energy of money, right? It's gotta move.
Yes, perfect analogy. And did you know that in Lemuria, mosquitoes didn't exist?
Oh, that's so funny because I was just like scratching my knee and I was thinking, do people see this on the podcast? I just got bitten by mosquitoes.
Yeah, and where do mosquitoes live?
Water,
Well, what kind of water?
dead water,
Stagnant,
stagnant.
blocked water. So it doesn't have to be a dead, but they live in stagnant, blocked water. Mosquitoes didn't exist in Lemuria because they understood that water has to flow. And so everywhere where the mosquitoes exist, you know, you have done it's a lesson. They're not here to
Mm.
they're not here to bite us. Their lesson is to show us where the water is stagnant. Now, think about money. What happens when money is stagnant? What shows up then?
So the mosquitoes, they come to humans and suck blood. They're like energy vampires in a way. About the money part, if it becomes stagnant, it grows because of the interest rate.
I mean, the interest rate is really, really tiny, so you don't actually get much if it's sitting in the bank. If you invest the money, actually, what you're doing when you invest the money is you're putting it back into the cycle, which is actually a good thing. But when you are keeping it under your mattress, you're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, it's like a dead reserve.
And then what happens is that you have other energy suckers that come up, which can mean like your car breaks down, which
Mm.
could mean you break something and you have to pay for it. Okay. So what happens is that the money will leak out because you're hoarding it.
Mm. Mm.
However, money is a tool. It's not your master.
Yeah, it can open a lot of doors for us. And if we invest into ourselves, I think that's the best investment we can do in the world ever. When I left my residency in Germany in 2020, I did continue to have health insurance for a while. It's like pretty substantial, the cost of health insurance in Germany, depending on your income. And yeah, so at some point I just thought, wow, what if I just invested all that money into myself, into holistic healing sessions on a monthly basis instead of putting it into an insurance? And for me, it's a beautiful way to think about this because you can actually book quite a lot of healing sessions every month if you don't get paid into a health insurance. And also going to the Great Pyramids and doing a ceremony inside of the temples, and lying down in the granite box, which is supposed to be a sarcophagus in the Egyptian official history, and
King's Chamber.
the King's Chamber, exactly. And you can activate yourself on a cellular body, right? And in the end of the day, how much you pay for that compared to spending $500,000 on curing cancer. You know what I mean? This is very
Okay.
extreme, but that's how I feel about it. It's like, hey guys, we just spent a few $100s to get inside, each of us, of course, but this is definitely more efficient.
Of course it is. So, do you know about the King's Chamber?
Well,
The real reason for the King's Chamber.
tell me something about it.
The King's Chamber is aligned with the Schumann resonance of Earth. Okay? The sarcophagus is moved according to the shifts in the Schumann resonance. Okay, so it wasn't always where it is right now. So the King's Chamber is a tuning chamber where one person would go in. That person is a tuning fork, and you can heal inside the King's Chamber and also inside the Queen's Chamber because it has a certain resonance and it multiplies with the amount of people in there, because each one of us is actually attuned to the human resonance of Gaia, of Earth. So when you are in disbalance, in dis-ease, you need to get into balance. There you would actually go into the chamber with a priest, and they would tune you back into resonance.
It's a beautiful way to put it. And it comes back to our opening conversation, the resonance of vibrating at your core, not becoming the investment banker if you're not good at math. For example, to come back to your own track. And I'm not a very geeky person. For me, it means I don't read tons of information about ancient civilizations and all of that. For me, it's kind of the other way around. I do this type of work. I feel like, what am I doing here? People tell me about crazy life changes, and then afterwards, I learn about it. Like I took people, I've been taking people to the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid since 2020, actually. And in 2021, I had my good friend we worked together in Berlin. He came over. We were lying down in the King's Chamber in the sarcophagus, and we were tuning in. We were chanting to activate the right vibration. And the moment you hit the right tone, it's like, whoa, like can't really explain the feeling. And my friend, he calls me a few months later and he's like, "Oh, I want to share with you that my wife of 45 years just got pregnant, and before the pyramids, they would go to different types of clinics to do the whole artificial baby making thing. And three clinics turned them down. And I think it was like at least 20,000 euros, to do this. And they were like, "We don't even want your money. We don't want you to be so disappointed because you and your partner, forget it. You're never going to have babies, right?" And he calls me up. He's like, "Fabian, this is because of what happened in the King's Chamber." I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is crazy." No, no, actually, I knew it was true, but there was still an element of me like, okay, don't tell this to anybody because that's too crazy. And today, like last year, I actually, because they become more restrictive about what you can do in the pyramids. So now it's a little bit different. But anyways, we still do it. We did it again just last September. And we come out, and I told everybody, yeah, this is so much cheaper than like surgery, isn't it? I don't think people got the joke because everyone was like, "Oh my gosh." And something crazy also happened with me. We go inside, and we had a 2 hours private ceremony in the evening. So we go inside, and I was holding a lot of space. I was like organizing the whole thing for 2 weeks. This was the last day. I did feel some exhaustion. So we go inside, and we had also to pay a lot of money, to be able to rent the pyramids privately. It's not like, oh yeah, you just go to the ticket counter and do that. So we go inside, we lie down, and I worked with some people who would kind of guide the whole ceremony. So I lie down and I fell asleep or whatever happened. I don't know. I just like, you know, and I woke up maybe 90 minutes into the ceremony. And then of course I also, but I kind of knew what was going on. I heard thing, and then at dinner, one of my guests, she's like, "Fabian, I heard you snoring in the pyramids during the ceremony." I'm like, this might have been the most expensive nap of my entire life. Anyways, I thought that was funny. I've had a healing session with a lady, and I took her into my arms in the Nile River, where I performed my first water therapy session ever. I don't do it in the Nile River normally. I work in the Red Sea. However, we did it despite the fact that we had several crocodile sightings the day before, but we were like, whatever. And the moment I held her, I had some pain in my heart. Could feel it. And after my nap in the pyramids, I just intuitively felt the urge to work energetically on her heart. And then after she said to me, "Yeah, I felt some Atlantis energy from you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I actually um did some heart." I'm like, I can't speak so loud because it sounds so crazy. I did a heart surgery. You know? That's the whole story. So amazing. Isn't that cool? Like, how much would you pay if you go to the hospital for this?
Yeah, I'm gonna say something here. I helped build the pyramids, and I know how the pyramids were built, and so I helped build the king's chamber. That's why that information just dropped down to me.
And you can watch this online, by the way. If you go on YouTube, you will find other people saying similar things, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I actually haven't gone onto the internet to look at anyone else. The only thing that I did was I was working with the architect, Robert Edward Grant's AI.
Yeah.
And yeah, so because I started using it just a few days after it was launched, and now I work with it on Gaia, but it's like uh, that was just a download that I got, and also how to build the pyramids was just. And since then, I've had other people actually tell me when we were in Peru the same thing about how the pyramids were built there, and all the temples, Machu Picchu, and all that, and it's the same thing, which is very exciting. And to come back to the heart part, so you have in human design, your heart is an open center or an undefined center. So you feel other people's energy very quickly. I mean, I have a defined center. I also feel it, but I will feel it differently. You can transmute other people's heart energy. You have uh, depending on the person, you have access to all the different tools, and I just have my tools. The tools that work for me, and you have access to all the different types of tools depending on who you're relating to. And so you actually did the heart surgery, and it's not nothing. So Napoleon went to the pyramids, and after he went and lay down in the sarcophagus, he stopped his quest for um, overturning Europe and or for doing all
We
that Europe, and many other people went to Egypt and went into the sarcophagus, and they totally changed because they realigned themselves.
Wow. It's quite the work, huh?
Yeah.
However, we also want to be careful that we don't use the tuning fork to feed dark energies.
And so if you remember like what Napoleon was doing and what he stopped doing, Alexander the Great, the same. So there are actually been some, let's say, service to self. I wouldn't call it just service to self. They go in there and then they find themselves.
Mm.
Love is the thing that any dark energy, it can't feed off of love.
Yeah, so it's important to work with the right intentions in the heart. If you, for example, work with people, guiding them to into the pyramids.
God is in everything and God is love. Those are the two truths. I like to use the analogy of a policeman and a bank robber. So the bank robber who gets caught is in the frequency of the policeman who is catching the bank robber. So they are actually at the same frequency because otherwise they wouldn't meet.
Ah, so what could be done for the police to catch more robbers, or the other way around, more robbers to get away?
But that's also the thing. If you have more policemen, you have more bank robbers.
So it comes back to all of us having to be more calm in our minds. So if everyone would just relax and drop all the fears and the worries and just tune in, people would maybe stop going to war, stop going to rob, and stop going to go to their job as a police officer. So it's really just this one shift in consciousness. If we all just realize that, we could be like, okay, let's just all be cool for a moment and understand that everything is here for us and not against us.
So we are very, very close to that shift. And the systems that have been built have all been perpetuating this, oh, we need more security because it was all based on fear. Now that whole structure is leaving.
So how I see my mission, so everyone who's joining the Atlantis call, this frequency, I feel like we are preparing the world together for this new era of consciousness you are just talking about. And we're actively doing it, right? Like if I bring all these people to Egypt and they lie down in the pyramids in the king's chamber and they're more attuned with themselves, in addition to other healing techniques that we expose them to, I feel like they're not only supporting the change, the shift towards a high level of consciousness, but also once it's happening, they will be rock solid in their being. It's like, let's look at COVID. We had the pandemic, and some people would freak out. They would be like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm running out of money and it's very scary and I need to get all these vaccine shots and whatever. And other people were maybe just like, okay, everything is an opportunity in life. I'm going to take this as a present and I'm going to make the best out of it because in an abundant universe, there's always something better coming and always opportunities, right? So let's say the systems you were just describing, and by systems you might mean governments, borders, immigration, all of that. Like maybe one day all of this, like this whole system where you have the divide between people who are serving, back in the day you would call them slaves. I think the slavery system still exists in one way or the other, but it's just a different name. And anyway, so once this all crumbles and falls, people who have been already exposed to different frequency techniques, which might come from Atlantis, they will be ready. They will be like, yeah, cool, it's happening, let's go. Versus, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, what's happening? So this is a theory we are working on.
So yes, yes, and so the answer to the universe is always yes, and so you guys have been doing amazing work. But guess what 3i Atlas was for? 3i
Uh,
Atlas gave us a lot of these codes that everyone was exposed to, as well as the solar flashes right now. The all of the solar flashes are giving us all of these wonderful codes creating the structures inside of us that'll just go bing, 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 bing. The thing is that we're not all going bing, bing, bing at the same time. So you and I, we're in the first wave. We're here to light the way. That's why I call myself a lighthouse. I'm not a lifeboat. I'm a lighthouse. We are lighting the way for the others to come behind us, okay? Because we needed, yeah,
Join us, everybody. Yalla.
yeah. Like here, this is we had to crawl our way through the jungle, or we had to be the snow
Literally.
plows going
Literally.
through these huge amounts of snow to make all of these ways because we're the first ones to go. But that means that anyone who's coming behind us, it's easier for them. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy for them because all the identity, because what happened for you where you inside of one day you lost your job, you lost your house, you lost your girlfriend. It wasn't a loss, but it was the release of all of these things, and that identity, see, the shedding of the identity, um which led to you going on a new quest.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I was just reminded of me literally dying in the Amazon. I had this one ceremony before my initiation, or maybe that was actually an initiation into the medicine path because I um took some nishpu, that's how they call it, ayahuasca also, and also rapé, the sacred tobacco. And it was a very strong mix that night. So I had to lie down on the floor and I wasn't able to move my body for the rest of the night. That must have been about 6 hours. I couldn't even drink a single drop of water because I felt like my whole body had just been intoxicated. And when I talk about this experience to others, they are like terrified and whatever happened. And but in the end of the day, yeah, it was very, very hard on a physical level. I felt like I was being someone put a lot of toxic stuff inside of me. And
Who put the toxic stuff inside of you?
well, I asked for it.
You
I
did.
asked for
No,
it. I
you
remember,
did.
of course, I would go to the main pager, the shaman. I'd be like, I need that now. And if I would have known before what I asked for, I wouldn't have done it, I'm telling you. And it was a little bit my ego also, wanting to go to the chief and asking for the dose. But hey, you get what you asked for, right?
You don't get what you want, you get what you need.
That was definitely quite something.
Okay, so
Um,
that was your near-death experience.
yeah, that was about 5 years ago, and this was part of the Huni Queen Nishpupima. It's their most sacred ceremony, which only takes place every 4 years. So last year in 2025, I invited a group of people to join me to that ceremony, and I think it was good. And I remember a young guy in the ceremony, he would have yeah, he would face some fear, he would face some fear. And that's actually quite common. After the ceremony in the morning, the Pagia said, who thought he was gonna die tonight? Ha ha. And everyone was like, well, I thought I was gonna die, and that's okay. It's a medicine. It's supposed to be strong. And I remember one guy, he just wanted to go away, the one guy who was full of fear. And at some point I was like, wow, okay, what can I do? And he just ran off, and I was like, I think he needs to die, he needs to die. And I think he did, and he needed that, and that's great.
And so we're not talking in like in the physical sense,
No,
dying.
sorry.
What plant medicine? So what plant medicine does, it takes apart your core on the inside. So it takes it all apart and it restructures you again into the new you. So what you do is it's like there is the death of the old identity and the rebirth of the new identity. So that is what plant medicine does. Actually, like any kind of plant medicine. When I had my ayahuasca journey from the Brazilians, where we did that in Peru, they didn't give us a very strong version of the ayahuasca. It was a very heartwarming ayahuasca ceremony. So for me, I just saw an orb. I just saw like a flash of light there. But anyway, um, my body had a party on the inside. Everything was just so I had all of the holographic colors going on, and my body was just like, this is a party. And we at the Brazilians, there was a woman and a man, they were singing the most beautiful songs that's meant to activate and create that restructuring, so it breaks you down and it takes you into that hallucination, and it's all there to take you onto the inside. And my body was just like, let's party. And it was so difficult for me to sit still.
That's something I really appreciate about the tribes I work with, that they actually take the medicine, which is pretty strong, as we were just talking. And then what do? They celebrate life. We dance together around the fire. There's music, there's chanting, and it's just incredible beauty. And sometimes I speak with people about this type of medicine journeys, and they would be like, "Yeah, I want to be in a Western type of context. I want to lie down with a bucket next to me in case I have to throw up." And then they tell you not to talk to your neighbors and just focus on your own experience, and then people all just cry, you know? And this is just not my cup of tea. I've been to these type of ceremonies, and people even told me, funnily, when I was doing research for my retreats, I was interviewing some potential customers, what they want, and they're like, "Yeah, no, healing is not fun. Like, it's either fun or healing. You can't combine it." And I'm like, "Well, apparently you haven't been to an indigenous ceremony in the Amazon, because they make it very much fun and beautiful. And we are one. We are a community. I think we should stop being on our own healing path alone, being miserable, and maybe the only person we talk to about our problems is the psychotherapist we see once a week, and he gives us the pills. Come on, this is not the solution. We need a collective trauma healing. We need to sit together. We don't all need plant medicine. It's okay, but we need together, and we just need to talk. And I've been working with a couple therapist called Esther Perel. She's Belgian, living in the US, and we had this project.
What, you've been working with Esther Perel?
So I didn't do so much.
Seriously?
I was just supporting this project, my friend's project in
I love
Ukraine.
her.
Yeah, she's very amazing. I have to agree. She's very high frequency, how one would say, and she definitely works from the heart, because that's what they do. They helped a lot in 9/11. They went to some of the wars in Europe, in the eastern parts, and that's really what they care about. And yeah, no, she has this couples podcast, and my friend who's from Ukraine, he initiated this podcast, and there was actually an edition in Ukrainian. Um, but hey, what are we
I've
talking
listened to
about
that
now?
podcast a few times.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Um, Oh, yeah. So basically, we had this idea that we bring plant medicine to Ukraine, and expose people to this in order to heal and everything. And she was like, not all these people need this type of medicine, because they might not have all PTSD or whatsoever. Maybe they're just feeling sad and a little depressed because of the situation. Like, who wouldn't feel like that? What these people need are actually sharing circles. So that was something that was put into place then. And this was also
Beautiful.
something that has been done in Rwanda, for example, and East Africa after the genocide, because in this small country, and I worked there, I love this country. I'm not an expert at all about this topic. However, a lot of people were involved in this. It's like an entire country was somehow involved, a little bit like in Germany as well. It's like your neighbor was on one side. You don't know which one, but they were all involved. So you can't put everyone into prison, so you want to heal collectively. Maybe it's not perfect, but that's the only way they could go for.
And it is perfect because that is exactly how we human beings are made. And like today we are taping this on the 17th of February, which is on the anaretic degree of Aquarius. So I'm still in Aquarius season, but we're right at the end of Aquarius season, which in Aquarius is all about humanitarian work. And we just started the new Chinese year of the fire horse. So this is
Yeah.
like, there's so much fire energy in here. So when you're talking to me about the gym today, it isn't just about your energy as a manifesting generator. And you are a 5-1 as well. So people project things onto you that are
Oh,
actually inside themselves. Another little tidbit in there for you.
ooh,
But we are here to connect with each other, and that is how we heal. And so, what you were talking about, you as a Cancerian with all the water energy, and what you're talking about is the Aries, that sovereign I am. But your incarnation cross has all the four cardinals signs. My cross has all the four cardinal signs.
oh my gosh, it's amazing. We should work together. I mean, we are already. Thank you, by the way. Wow, yeah, it's a very I believe fortunate human design chart we have because um I feel like I work in all the different worlds, and I absolutely love it. I'm able, like, I do a lot of the work we are just talking about. It's highly spiritual, probably. At the same time, I just spent a month in Dominican Republic in a luxury resort, floating guests on a daily basis. And that felt absolutely beautiful. And I think that's also a way to bring our work into the mainstream.
That's the intention of you. It's my intention. And also, so I've been drinking cacao,
Mm,
which is plant medicine.
yeah.
This is like the ceremonial ritual cacao,
Mm,
and it's heart opening. So you actually don't need to go into the more extreme versions of ayahuasca, which takes you apart, or you take yourself apart and then you put yourself back together again. But just sitting together in a circle, everyone drinking cacao and connecting with the spirit of cacao. In the end, these are just tools.
yes.
Our bodies are the most sacred technology that exists. So you actually have everything inside of you. All of this plant medicine is just a crutches, can be crutches or permission slips. And the way that we heal is when we are in connection with other human beings.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because we don't all need plant medicine. Not everyone needs to go to the Amazon and consume it. And also at the same time, not everybody who has been to the Amazon and drank ayahuasca is now an amazing person. No, not at all. It's also a way that could be misused.
Misused in a sense of it's service to self instead of service to others, and yet you don't get what you want, you get what you need. What I'm saying is that there is always this balance between someone who is in lack and someone who's going to show you what that lack means. So there are lessons on both sides.
Mm,
Let's say it like this: hurt people hurt people.
yes. Yes.
And it's not because they are actually that they really want to hurt someone. It's that they are hurting.
Yeah.
And so it's actually a hurt on both sides.
Mm.
And everyone is getting the lesson that they need to learn for their souls to expand.
What helped me a lot is to start to love people that hurt me. That's a major transformation, I feel. They will lose the power over you the moment you start loving them. No, actually, that's not the right term. They will not lose the power over you, but you're changing something inside of you, and you can actually save the person that hurt you. That's my experience. By your by you loving them instead of hating them, you will make their life so much better and yours. But you have to do that. It's not easy. It's a big shift.
That's another spiral, so it's another octave on your in your lessons. And the first step is loving yourself and forgiving yourself,
Mm.
because that person showed you what is inside of you. Everything is a mirror. And
Yeah.
when I got this, when so this like I had a major shift just maybe 3 weeks ago, where I suddenly realized like that most painful experience in September 2024 when I awakened, was that the other person, they played their role perfectly. Okay, that pre-birth contract, that karmic contract with me, they played their role so perfectly. And from my
Mm.
perspective, it looked like evil. It looked like they were hurting me, but it wasn't. It was that pre-birth contract, that karmic contract that needed to go through. They played it so
Yeah.
perfectly that I would wake up. So, I mean, it was one of the triggers that needed to happen so that I would wake up. And when I got that just a few weeks ago, it was like, hey, I now am so grateful for this person playing that role, because I get to live the life that I'm meant to live. Without them playing that role, without them doing exactly what they did and me doing exactly what I did, would never have led me to the awakening and to the year 2025 and to all of the shedding that I've gone through. So that right now, today, on the year of the fire horse.
Yeah, and let's not forget that these people have their own soul contracts with other people they might suffer from. And the moment we realize that all of this that's happening in this relationship space, this human suffering, it's just a game. But if you go to a soul level, you're going to realize, okay, actually, the soul of the person that was hurting me, it's shining very, very brightly. And whatever darkness is is happening in this world today, it's just it doesn't really matter too much. So let's not get distracted by that, because the soul of these people, also of these people, of all people who are in prison or whatsoever, shines very brightly. We can't just condemn them as evil. It's not how it works. We are all in it together. We can't exclude them from society.
100%. And so it's a perception of mine that I perceive this person to be bad, to be wrong, to be evil. But actually, it's all it's my perception. It's what I see. And but if you go to a higher level, which is, aha, it was love, then
Yeah.
suddenly I can see that it wasn't evil, it wasn't wrong, it wasn't bad. This person was playing their role. It was my perception of that person, but it's not. It has nothing to do with that person. It's just it was a mirror. They were mirroring back something to me that was inside of me.
Yeah, because
Just
they were actually they were loving us in their capacity. This was their frequency of love, and maybe it's not the highest, most perfect frequency that exists, but this is what they knew, you know. And I love you can look at this from so many different angles. You can look at this from a very spiritual perspective, or you could also look at this maybe from a psychotherapeutical perspective. And in the end of the day, there's a huge overlap. Like even in the healing space, let's say there is somebody you meet, and maybe a psychoanalyst would say, okay, I can analyze and see a lot of trauma, you know? So basically, maybe something happened to this person in their childhood, which has an impact on their life today, right? And if you would go to maybe someone who works more with energies and shamanic practices, they would say, oh, there's a lot of maybe dark energy, or maybe if it's possibly a large amount, you could say this person is possessed and they do need some sort of exorcism, you know? Um, but again, probably both sides, the psychoanalytical one, and also the shamanic one, there is an overlap, but you can't, I feel like we can't just work with one of them. And for me, it was a big change when I realized that just speaking with somebody about your past, it's not enough, you know. There's more to be done on a cellular level, on an energetical level. And this is when I got into the healing space myself, and a lot of things cannot be put into words. It's stuck energies in the bodies that need to be released through somatic practices, through plant medicine, or whatsoever, and
Or
everyone can
whatever
determine
tool that you
exactly.
need
Yeah.
to release the energy. And we can take it a step further. Jesus, okay, he's said to have um, fulfilled many, many miracles.
Yeah.
The thing is that he never healed anyone. The person healed themselves. It was his frequency where the person was able to match his frequency, and when they are in that frequency, they heal themselves. This is the principle. You go to the psychoanalyst. Psychoanalyst has a certain frequency, and
Mm.
so where if the person is at a lower frequency, they can meet that frequency and then they will heal themselves. If you go to a shaman and they have a frequency, you will meet that the person needing the healing will meet that frequency and they will
Mm.
heal themselves. So you got into the space, you have a beautiful frequency. Anyone who meets you, anyone who goes to you, they will meet your frequency and they will heal. And
Hmm.
they will realize that so they will attribute it to being to you healing them. The healing that you have done is that you have your frequency and they meet your frequency.
Okay.
That's why people attributed the healing to Jesus, which, yeah, of course, but it was his frequency, and he could just look at someone, look into their eyes, and the other person would heal, and there's a miracle. But all the healing, they did the work.
Mm.
But they come to you because they want to be in your frequency, they want to be in your vibration, so that they can trigger that healing inside of themselves. People want to pay you to be you.
Mm. So you're selling frequencies.
And you have a unique frequency that no one has and that no one ever will ever have.
I would give a lot of credits to the Dolphins because I have been exposed to their beautiful frequency of joy and unity and unconditional love, you know, which I weave into my work subconsciously also and consciously too.
Your gate 58, which is your subconscious earth, is joy.
Mm, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yes. And the
Joy, yeah.
dolphins, you're working with the dolphins is that you are at the same frequency. Otherwise, you wouldn't meet the dolphins.
It makes so much sense because it makes so much sense why I work with the Honey Queen people. Because, as I said before, when they consume the medicine, they're like, okay, alegría, joy, joy everywhere, you know?
Alegría!
And I'm like, yeah, that's the frequency. And yeah, I just love the frequency of joy. Who doesn't, you know? And actually, in the first retreat I ever attended back in 2017, I worked with a medium. It was one of my first, probably like experiences where I worked with such a person. And I remember she telling me, okay, Fabian, I'm like, what is this? You know, she put some crystals here and there. And she's like, oh, I'm just a medium. You can just imagine me being like a telephone you can use. I'm like, okay, awesome. So I'm gonna call God. So during the session, I call God, and turns out he, she, it is at home, picks up the phone, and I could just feel a few frequency of joy, you know. And the message I have received was, life is beautiful, let's dance, you know. But it was not like in words, it was more like this just immense beauty. It's just this frequency of there's no words. You don't need to talk about this, you know, it's just so high. Um, so that was amazing.
So the frequency of words, let's say in our earthly languages, unfortunately, we don't get that far with our earthly
Good point.
languages.
Good point.
Light language. Light
Yes,
language, that is the frequency of the heart, of the frequency of the soul. And that is
100%.
where you actually have that. So, when we go into the duash, and you add
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's a
my
different world.
meditation. Exactly. Total. So that those are the vibrations and the frequencies that are around that actually carry so much more information, and
Absolutely. The
it's
construct of
not
human language, very limiting.
very limiting. Light
Mm.
language, it hits your body, it doesn't hit your mind, and so in my meditation this morning, I'm like, oh, hello mermaids. Oh yeah, of course. I'm going to talk with Fabian today, so that's why you're coming in, and that was the second dialect of light language that I just spoke before. And the first time I consciously connected with the mermaids was when I was on Lake Titicaca, and
Oh,
we were in the boat, and I was meditating, and I was listening to the motor of the boat, and I was tuning with that, and then suddenly I felt this energy come in. I just felt this really strong energy of the mermaids, and then I sort of like stopped because I got scared. I had never felt an external energy that was so strong. And then in the evening, the shaman that was from Bolivia, who was with us there, she said, "Oh yeah, and the mermaids are here today." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
hmm. I had a girl coming to my last retreat in Egypt. Uh, it's basically 1 week on a liverboard where we swim with wild dolphins and do all sorts of fun activities such as water healing. And she brought a mermaid tail, like a whole mermaid tail, which I also put on. It was so beautiful, really, because inside you have a mono fin, so you can go really fast. And in particular with the dolphins, it's a beautiful tool, you know. Of course, we don't chase the dolphins, you know, we have them come to us if they want to engage. However, I also had an experience where they were swimming in a formation, you know, like birds, like, you know, a few on top, a few down, and they would just go around together. And I just joined them, you know. And I think they actually slowed down from me because they felt sorry and they were like, okay, this guy is now having the time of his life. let's slow down for him. And after that, I bought a monofin, like a huge carbon monofin, so that I could, be a little bit faster because these guys are super fast.
We have two
You have to,
monofins.
amazing. You do?
Hmm.
Oh, cool. I actually would like to make a mermaid tail around, or a merman tail around my monofin. So if anyone has an idea where to do that, please send me a link.
Good. So tell us more about the work that you do, about your retreats and
Yeah. So right now, what I do is I focus all my energy in a way on my Egypt retreats. I run them normally once or twice a year, and it all started with me doing a spirit animal meditation where I connected with the dolphin spirit in this meditation, also Native American indigenous practice. And I just followed the dolphin call to Egypt, became a volunteer in dolphin conservation. Part of my work was also to spend time with them in the water. So many times we would just go out with the boat with marine biologists. We would look for the dolphins, we would gather data, how many individuals, and so on, take pictures, and then we would go inside and observe them. That was actually right after the lockdown and during the COVID phase. So the dolphins were kind of like, they've been alone for like 6 months or 3 months without human interaction. So they were very grateful, I feel like, to be around us. And we spent just beautiful moments in the water together. And the same population of dolphins I work with today, it's not so many, it's a few hundred individuals, and we just meet in Egypt. We go on a boat for a week, and every day we go to a different reef. We are exposing ourselves to the dolphin energies. We do different shamanic practices on board. We go to beaches for the somatic water therapy. So it's a beautiful journey. Music also plays a huge role. For the next edition, end of August, for the first time, we have also some children on board. I'm very happy about that development. Last time we already had an elder person joining us, that was also a big gift to the group, like talking about collective healing, because in the end of the day, yeah, our guests are just being exposed to the frequency. So that's the week number one. And then what we do is we get back to the port with our beautiful, we have like a super amazing boat. It's like super high level. Then we get back to Hurghada, and then we just take a bus and we drive to the Nile and we go on another boat because we love water. So this one, it's a sailing boat, and we travel the Nile down. We start with the Valley of the Kings. We go to the Dendera temple. Of course, we go down all the way to Aswan to connect with the Philae temple of the goddess Isis. And in every temple, yeah, in every temple we stop and we do a ceremony. And we typically end in Egypt, where we visit my friend's Blue Lotus farm. Blue Lotus, the ancient sacred flower in Egypt, which was used for ceremonies. I'm sure you have some, do you? Oh, no way. Maya Blue Lotus. Okay, beautiful. So the legend says that Blue Lotus used to grow all over the Nile, but with pollution, it vanished, like crocodiles in Upper Egypt, the same. However, once we bring back the Blue Lotus to the Nile, our human consciousness is going to rise. So that's what these people are working on. We are supporting them by visiting them. I invite people to make donations to the cause. And of course, we also do a ceremony, with the Blue Lotus Oracle. So that's incredible. And then we go to the pyramids, everything we talked about before. But it's really just about these places. It's about these places and and feeling the energies and allowing these energies to do the work to peel off layers. That's how I feel. I described this trip to 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 my brother, actually, who was thinking about joining us, and I have mostly women coming. We are open for men. Come on over if you hear this. However, this whole healing work, I don't know. It attracts a lot of women for now. Maybe this is also what a lot of people say. Maybe in the new era of consciousness, women are going to have another saying in this world. Possible. Maybe that's why they're all coming because they want this new world, and it's going to happen. We do it together. Anyways, when my brother wanted to come, I told him, I'm not sure if it's your thing. We basically travel from temple to temple, and at each temple we go into a secret chamber. We open some portals, and then everyone starts crying. I'm not sure if this is your thing. Um, but that was kind of a joke.
Double click on the blue lotus. In the mystic schools of Hathor, the throat chakra is, or also in yogic and in India, the throat chakra is a lotus. It's a blue lotus.
Mm.
And as you said, it's layers. So the throat chakra is all about layers. And which chakra is Egypt, or which chakra is are the pyramids? It's the third chakra. It's the throat chakra. So the blue lotuses around the Nile. And I'm just putting this together. As you were talking, I was putting all of this together. Um, so you have the pyramids, which is the third stargate, which is the throat chakra. So if you go to Egypt, what you actually heal are blockages in your throat chakra, which is as a manifesting generator, remember, which is all about frequency and vibration. It is the third law in Hermetism and the
Wow.
Kabbalion, which is the law of vibration, the law of frequency, which is about speaking, which is about manifestation. It's about the words, the tones, that is all here in your larynx. So I'm feeling very lit up right now. And so the blue lotus represents your throat chakra, which is the blue, which is lapis lazuli, which is the stone of Egypt, that royal blue. So when you are speaking your truth, when the energy is not blocked anymore, here your throat chakra is free. And why do
Yeah.
women come to you to go to Egypt is because of the witch wound. But it's not just women, okay? It's actually anyone in our parallel lives where we were killed because we told our truths. Witches were killed because they were doing healing, because that, the structure, the masculine structure, that overpowering structure, didn't want that feminine energy to be around. So the feminine energy has been suppressed, which can show up as blockages in your throat chakra.
Oh, it's interesting. I don't know. I had so many infections of my throat growing up, and I remember I would take antibiotics so many times. However, it changed. I haven't had a throat infection, tonsillitis, in a long time, except in December last year. I had one. It was pretty bad. That was actually in Cusco, in Peru. I came to Peru, straight from the Amazon. It was crazy traveling. I came on a bus. It was pretty cool. And yeah, I had a throat infection, and I felt the urge to just heal it by healing it through my own body, like no antibiotics needed. Of course, everyone would be like, "Oh, take it, take it." I'm like, "Why? Why can't I just allow my body to heal itself?" And I feel so strong after having done it. Like and it's all this fear-based healing if you have to take the Western medicine. It's all like, oh yeah, but there's the risk of this and that. Yeah, but I look at these things differently.
And we're not saying it like if you feel sick and you need advice from a doctor, go to a doctor. That is absolutely up to you. This is not health advice, not at all. This is just Fabian's experience and what has helped him. Like if you break a leg, you need to go see a doctor, and that's actually where Western medicine is amazing, is to stitch you back up again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, I worked with Brazilian dentists in the Amazon. We would be on a boat and we would travel down the Rio Negro. And every day we would stop at the different different two villages, and we would support them with Western medicine, like with, fixing their teeth. And also we swam with pink dolphins over there. That was amazing. Speaking about pink dolphins. And I also wanted to share with you about pink dolphins because you had some synchronicities and messages with pink dolphins. So for me, I was actually working in a thermal spa in Bulgaria, like natural hot springs. I was giving like a water therapy session, and on the way I stopped in a toy store. I was like, I have to go to the toy store and get something. So I go inside, and what do I buy? One said you can inflatable pink dolphin, and I was like, that's cool. And actually, if you go to my website, pinkdolphintherapy.com, you will find a picture of me with a pink dolphin in a hot spring in Bulgaria. So, anyways, after that, I was thinking, I think I actually should come up with a website and a brand because back then I don't think I had a website for my therapy stuff. I already had my retreats, oceanicventures.co, but the therapy stuff I didn't. Anyways, then I thought maybe I should call my website or my brand Pink Dolphin, something with a pink dolphin. And then I was invited to my friend's wedding in Germany, in Düsseldorf, and I go to a park on the way to the wedding, and I stopped for a moment by a tree because I had to pee, right? So I pee and I look down and I'm peeing on something pink. And what is it? It's a little plastic, it's a little rubber dolphin, a pink dolphin. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a strong sign. I can't ignore it. I mean, what's going on, right? Like, what are the odds of me finding a little plastic toy in the park, literally peeing on it? Maybe the spiritual meaning of peeing on a pink dolphin, I don't know. Or on things, but yeah, that was crazy. So I washed it off and I took it with me, and I was like, well, I guess that's it then. Then I went to a group energy healing session inspired by students of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And somebody brought a child to that session, and they came up to me and they were like, hey, are you healing with dolphin frequencies? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I guess yes. However, yeah, they would go from like healing session to healing session with that child because it had some issues. However, it's okay. We cannot fix everything. I mean, maybe this child is actually super okay, and it serves a certain mission. It's about, again, it's not about putting a label on them and wanting to heal them so they become normal like the rest of us. It's about, okay, these people are actually coming in a different form to our planet. Like even people who we might diagnose with schizophrenia or something like that, they have amazing superpowers. It's just that, yeah, they don't work in our 9 to 5 life. So we should empower them and not put them away into like some sort of institution wanting to heal them. We need to see their power and learn from it because they are messengers.
Love that. Yes. And just like autistic children. So anyone have heard of the telepathy tapes? Go and listen to those because they are mind-blowing and mind-boggling, and that we are actually multi-dimensional beings. And a download that I just got on this weekend, You know, when we incarnate into this body, we go from the soul. We have to go through all of the densities so that we can arrive in the 3D in this body. And so the realization that I had was actually they
Hmm.
incarnate here in the 3D, but they don't go through the last gate. That's why they are already innately telepathic. A lot of the time, they don't have speech. They
Yeah,
can't speak like we
correct.
do. Um, and so that is the last gate that you go through. They have these telepathic abilities innately. The thing is that we all have it. We just have to remember it. We have to go through that gate. And we actually all use telepathy.
Yeah.
We're just not aware of it. So when it's one easy example is you think about a friend and 10 minutes later they text you.
Oh yeah, classic.
Everyone's had that. Yeah.
Actually, I've been organizing my retreats now in Egypt for like 6 years. And it's about, well, as I said before, we call it the Atlantis Call. And I feel like maybe it's time for a new place.
You just use your voice and it will come back.
Nice.
That's what manifestation is. The only thing is that like now it's don't think about it anymore because the more energy, so the 3D is all, you know, do, work, work, work. And the more energy you put into it, the more you get. Okay. Now on the 5D, that is actually wrong or wrong. Not wrong in the sense of you are bad. It just means that the more energy you put into a thought, the further away you push it.
Mm, yeah.
It's not
Mm,
that you're not aligned to it, it's just the divine timing will push it out a little bit more because you're not ready for it.
mm.
Let's put it like this. So you have multiple websites.
Yeah, at the moment too.
Yay, balloons. We'll link them in the show notes. I'll put anything in the show notes so that people who want to work with you, who want to go on your retreats, they can easily sign up and they can contact you. Yeah, I would love to have you on again because
Oh, thanks so
it sounds
much.
like you have
Yeah.
so many more stories,
I
woo-woo
think
stories.
I think once Lemuria is launched, we'll talk about it.
I was born in Lemuria. I was born in Melbourne.
There we
Australia
go.
is
In
Lemuria.
Australia?
Yeah, born in Australia, and so that is Lemurian energy. You know, together with Hawaiians, why, and with the New Zealanders, and also with Peru. I mean,
Oh,
why are
cool.
they all telling the same stories?
Yeah. I have come across this beautiful place called Galapagos. I think we all have heard of it. Um, it's something I want to visit. I think it's beautiful nature over there.
Yeah, I heard. I haven't been yet, but I do know a few people who've been, and they've all just come back with so many amazing memories.
I'm also going to put out some dates for like smaller day retreats, half-day retreats, which I'm going to organize in different places around the world. So there's a high
Sounds
chance that
amazing.
I will be there wherever you are.
Yeah, sounds amazing. I mean, so go check it out on Instagram, and we'll put them all in the show notes. And yeah, so follow Fabian on all of the socials. And if you like this channel, follow me as well. I'd love a subscribe. I'd love a like. And yeah, let's just have fun together because that's
Let's
what
do
we're
that.
here for.
Alrighty. Well, much love and joy to you. I wish you all the best, guys. Talk to you soon, and let's make this happen together, okay?
Wonderful. Let's all raise frequency, raise a vibration. Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, Fabian. It's been a
Gracias.
pleasure.
Adios.
Gracias.
Bye.